take a look around the NFC West here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Schultz here with you. Thanks for joining us. This is our first preview of the 2025 season of how things look around the division. I'm going to give you my predictions for all four teams and superlatives for each of them as well. We'll go over that and more coming up in just a matter of moments here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Happy Friday, everybody. Friday, right? If you want the Seahawks to win the NFC West, I need you to like today's video. If we get 500 likes on today's show, I guarantee a division title and a playoff appearance is headed to Seattle. Hit that like button. Don't jinx it. Do your part, and we'll get started with today's show. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go around the division. We'll start with the reigning champion Rams. Then we'll talk Niners, Cardinals, and we'll wrap up with your team, the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm going to give you a superlative for each of them, as well as a record prediction, and we'll talk about the situation for each and every one of these teams here on today's show. Let's start with the LA Rams. I believe that the Rams are the most likely team in this division to not reach their full potential due to injury. This is a bit of an older team. They are a very solid team. Don't get me wrong. I think that the Rams will win 10 games this season. I think that they will be a playoff team in the wild card with a 10-7 record, but there are several things that could potentially stand in the LA Rams' way. One of those is their quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford has had a solid career. He's won a Super Bowl. He got things going really good in Detroit and then took things to another level when he went to the LA Rams. But what we've seen from the Los Angeles Rams, they can't count on Stafford to be there. It feels like when it comes to Stafford that every time he has a really good year, then the next year he gets banged up and they take a step back and it goes back and forth. And last year was a playoff year for them based on kind of how things go back and forth. Maybe this is another year where he takes another step back. And it's not just Stafford that's had these health issues. Puka Nacua, their star young receiver who enters his third season in the league, Puka Nacua is going to take on the biggest role that's been asked of him. Cooper Kupp's not there anymore. Cooper Kupp's here in Seattle now. And Puka's had his problems staying healthy as well. Can Puka take on that big of a role? And I know that they did bring in Devontae Adams. Tutu Atwell is still there as well. That's a good receiving corps, but I think it is going to be asked a lot of Puka in that sense. The roster, I think, is really solid. If all goes right for the LA Rams when it comes to the injury front and not letting their age catch up with them, I think the Rams, if everything goes right, has the best chance of anybody in this division to get to the Super Bowl. But history tells me that that's likely not going to happen. Who is actually going to be around for this team when we get to the months of December and January? I don't know, and I can't trust that with the LA Rams. They have an excellent head coach in Sean McVay, one of the very best in football, but I just don't know because of their track record of the way things have played out there. Who will win the NFC West? It's our pinned comment today. You have four options, obviously. Is it going to be the Seattle Seahawks? Will it be the Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers, or the LA Rams? Type C for Seattle. Type ARI for Arizona. SF for San Francisco. LAR for the Los Angeles Rams. Weigh in the comment section and let us know. Number two, let's go to San Francisco now. I think the Niners are the team that's most likely to regret paying their quarterback and not have the pieces they need to compete at a high level. It wasn't too long ago that the San Francisco 49ers were competing for Super Bowls. Brock Purdy took them there. Jimmy Garoppolo took them there. But they were benefiting on some cheaper contracts that they were able to work with at the quarterback position. I think they're looking at an 8-9 record. Brock Purdy, I think, is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But if I were John Lynch, I would not have paid Brock Purdy. The benefit to having Purdy was that he was on that cheap rookie contract where you could pay everyone else and the talent around him. Now you don't have that anymore, and I think that's going to be a problem for San Francisco for years to come because Brock Purdy is never going to be an elite quarterback in this league. And that money that you're spending on him is going to hurt that roster. They could not win the Super Bowl even when Brock Purdy was on that rookie contract. Now you're going to pay him more money and take weapons away from him. I think life is about to get extremely difficult here. Brandon Ayuk took a step back last season. He's their top target. And you look at those other receivers, I'm not really high on Ricky Pearsall. I don't think Jawan Jennings is that great either. George Kittle's still fantastic. He had over 1,000 yards last season, but it doesn't look great for the weapons that Purdy has to work with. And then you talk about their starting left tackle, Trent Williams. And I know that he plays for a division rival, but I've always been a big fan of Trent Williams dating back to his days at Oklahoma. He's one of the absolute very best to play his position. He got a little banged up last year. Missed 5 games. Jalen Moore had to step in. Now Jalen Moore's playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Trent Williams is 36 years old. He's not a spring chicken anymore. Will Trent Williams still play at a high level? Will he stay healthy? And then you go to their defense. And their defense has had a pretty good track record over the years, but they have a weak secondary. They're going to be depending on a guy that Seattle did not want anymore in Trey Brown. Trey Brown, who is towards the bottom of the league in starting caliber corners in the NFL. And they're going to ask a lot of him and the other guys that are there. It doesn't look that good. If you want to beat San Francisco, it's pretty simple. Throw the football, sling the rock around, and attack that weak secondary. And I think that you're in good shape, and I think that's a problem for the San Francisco 49ers. Speaking of slinging the rock, who is the best quarterback in the division? Is it Sam Darnold, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, or Kyler Murray? Type SD for Sam Darnold. Type MS for Matthew Stafford. Type BP for Brock Purdy. Type KM for Kyler Murray. Tell us who you believe is the best quarterback in the division in the comments section below. Folks, want to make sure you subscribe to Seattle Seahawks Today as we bring you the latest happenings on your favorite team each and every day on the channel with our daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day, live shows each and every week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're doing our Madden Sim season. We also are bringing you breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. If you love the Seattle Seahawks, maybe you're a fan of one of the other division rivals that just happened to stumble upon the channel. Keep an eye on the enemy. Subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. Let's get at least 20 subs off today's video. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. The Arizona Cardinals. I think they are the team that's most likely to underachieve of anybody in the division and also fire their head coach, Jonathan Gannon. In fact, I think they will fire their head coach, Jonathan Gannon, after this season. I got the Cardinals going 6-11. They have talent there. No question about it when you talk about players like Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, Budda Baker, but I don't think that they can put it all together. Let's start with their head coach, Jonathan Gannon, absolute fraud. Absolute fraud. I didn't think they could do much worse than Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury did a pretty bad job, and he wasn't qualified for that job after doing terrible at Texas Tech. But then you go to Jonathan Gannon, and what does Jonathan Gannon have to show for it? And the guy is terrible with the media. He can't communicate, and he can't get his messaging through to his players either. And Seattle has just owned Jonathan Gannon since he's been there in Arizona. Kyler Murray, I think it's a tough spot for the Arizona Cardinals because they are paying him a handsome amount of money, the type of cash that you would give a top quarterback, but they're not getting top quarterback play out of Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is a good QB. Make no mistake. But I don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback. And as long as they're having to pay Kyler Murray all that money, that's going to hurt the rest of that roster. And we've seen that so far in his time with the Arizona Cardinals since he got paid. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, has all the makings to be a superstar in this league. I think he's extremely talented. He has everything that you could want in a receiver. I think that they're going to be building this team for many years to come around Marvin Harrison Jr. That's, I think, the brightest spot for this organization going forward. But then you look at the defense, and they got some old guys. I mean, they paid Calais Campbell for crying out loud. And they're going to give him a a very significant role in that defense. And some of the other pieces there. I mean, what that tells me is that they're putting Band-Aids on the situation, that they're trying to see what they can make of it for now. And that also tells me that that's setting themselves up for aging players that won't perform as well and also are more likely to get hurt too. I don't think that defense is going to be very good. Who will finish last in the NFC West? I hope you don't say Seattle. Who is finishing last? I think it's that Arizona Cardinals team. I got to go 6-11. Who do you think finishes last in the division? Weigh in and let us know. Seahawks fans, got a great deal for you. We got a framed Sean Alexander jersey on sale now with free shipping at chatsports.com/Alexander. This thing, folks, it's signed. It's a printed signature, and it looks great in the man cave. It is something that you can't live without, and it comes at a great price as well. Go see for yourself at chatsports.com/Alexander to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. We also have other Seahawks merchandise at that same link for you. Chatsports.com/Alexander to get yours now. Check it out. You'll be glad you did. And now, last but certainly not least, the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle is the team most likely to win the division with an elite defense that we will see in 2025. I think the Seahawks are going to win 11 games this year, an 11-6 record, which will be just one game better than the Los Angeles Rams. It might come down to that matchup towards the end of the season on Thursday Night Football when these two teams face off of who's going to win the division title. And I think it's all about the defense. They've built this thing up on the defensive side of the ball, and they got some real dogs on this defense. When you talk Leonard Williams, Devin Witherspoon, Ernest Jones IV, Byron Murphy, Reek Woolen, Julian Love, and then you're adding some new pieces like Nick Eamon-Warry. Kobe Bryant had a breakout season last year as well. That defense is going to contend with anybody, and they might be even getting better, as we've heard rumblings about potentially bringing in maybe Trey Hendrickson or Jalen Ramsey or going and getting another corner. I haven't even mentioned Uchenna Nwosu or Boye Mafe or Derek Hall. You brought in DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, you got so many weapons. That defense is going to keep you in a lot of games this season. Offensively, JSN is without question your wide receiver one now, coming off a Pro Bowl appearance, a breakout season in 2024. I think he's going to take another step forward to become potentially an elite receiver in this league. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. The offensive line's got nowhere to go but up from here. Abraham Lucas is going to be available when the season starts. You didn't get him till after the halfway point of last season. You got some question marks at the right guard spot. Olu improved a lot as the season went on at the center position. I'm very high on Gray Zabel, what he's going to do at the left guard spot. And I think Charles Cross has the intangibles to be an all-pro starting left tackle in this league. You're going to like what you see from the offensive line, and they'll get some extra help with the fullback position being added to the offense. And then the last point, Sam Darnold. I'm high on Sam Darnold. And I think the version that we saw of him at the end of 2024, or let me take a step back there, for all of 2024, was the version that's going to stick around. I think that Sam Darnold throwing for 35 touchdowns last year was not a one-hit wonder. I understand that he got to throw it around with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson and all that. But this has been the real version of Sam Darnold all along, folks. He was in bad situations with the Jets and with the Panthers. He now reunites with Clint Kubiak, a system that he knows awfully well already. I think Sam Darnold is going to do a very good job, and he will be one of the reasons why this Seattle team is going to win the division. You got younger, and you got more talented, and you got a cheaper quarterback in Sam Darnold compared to what you had in Geno Smith as well. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. If you're like me and think this team is going to win the division, you want them to win the division, hit that like button. We certainly appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. See you next time here on Seahawks Today.